Oh.
VIP. Let's kick it.
What?
All right.
Let's not.
This is our top artist, 20 through 11.
Let's kick it off.
Starting with Vanilla Ice, Mia's number 20.
Yep, Vanilla Ice, Mia's number 20. To be fair, he's
pretty white.
He's pretty white.
He's
and
certainly much more talented.
And he's also somewhat going into the rap genre, but goodness, he certainly does it better than Vanilla Ice. Yeah, no, Beck. This is Beck. In case you didn't actually read the post.
Or if you're listening to it via audio.
Oh yes, yeah, no, it's not Vanilla Ice. It is Beck. Beck is a remarkably. I think the thing that I love about Beck is that he is a remarkably talented individual, and yet still maintains this not serious at all kind of like loser nerd sort of deal, which is a great combination. But like, I think, you know, barring that, even I think he's doing a genuinely interesting thing with his music of kind of blending samples and instruments and his own recorded instruments and samples from other things.
He has so many different albums that are all like
completely different things.
And great.
You're gonna see that as a theme in my like top 20 or so, like bands who can't just settle on a genre. It's like, no, I feel like doing a funk album this time. I'm gonna make Midnight Vultures. Today I feel a little more like sad ballads. Here's Sea Change, which I don't like. It's time for folk, yeah? You know, it's just, what do I feel like doing this album? You know, you just walk in and figure that out, so.
My number 20 is a much more one-dimensional band. We'll see them again on Mia's list soon or in the future. Not in this one, for sure. This is The Who, and this is just a great, epic, mod rock, big chords.
I think one-dimensional in a way that evolves over time, though.
Yeah.
Think of My Generation compared to, like, You Better You Bet. And that's, you know, two sides of their, you know, that's the 60s and the 80s.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd really count the 80s, though, because most of it is
terrible. So My Generation and Who Are You, then?
Okay, yeah, anyway.
You know what? Anyway.
Yeah, they're definitely kind of, like, Roger Daltrey is so distinctive that he's kind of like...
He's earned his right. He's kind of a parrot? What is it?
Yeah. Anyway, they're great. We'll hear more about them next episode.
Fair enough. Sorry, I'm already dragging it into the long territory. But yeah, we'll get there. My number 19, we'll see these guys on John's list again, I'm sure. So I'll probably mostly keep my trap shut, but say a little about Queens of the Stone Age here. Riffy as hell. Obviously.
I'm surprised they're this low on your list.
You know, there are just too many stinking bands out there. You know, but yeah, I think, you know, they're riffy as hell. They have that distinctive, everything about them is distinctive. The guitar tone, the bass tone, the vocals even, you know, just kind of like all of that maintains, you know, there's been quite a few lineup changes, but it all maintains that same, you know, yep, that's Queens, all right.
Yeah, nice and crunchy and aggressive and
I think Josh Homme might
distortion.
be the finest riffer right now, but that's, you know, it's a strong claim because I like a lot of riffers. Rifferees, yep. Go on.
My number 19, I think we already, or no, we might not have yet seen them on Mia's, I don't know. They're Pearl Jam in any case.
We're gonna soon.
Yep. And these are, you know, by far my favorite grunge people. They're probably the most classic rock influenced of all of them. So they've got kind of like the extended guitar solos and everything. But they definitely, you know, they're not like kind of like, you know, singing about like the children or whatever, you know,
the
like
children.
they're you know, real like even on their first album they've got, you know, songs about like, you know, abusive parents and like institutions and homelessness and all that, and they're just kind of, so they're very much like that combination I love of like the big grandiose guitar solos and like and the complicated songs with like the like down to earth like gritty messages and vocals. And Eddie Vedder, what a howler.
Oh goodness, yeah, one of the finest vocalists. I say a lot about a fair amount of people on this list, don't I? But that's vocals are a strong thing for me. They can make or break a band for sure. And yeah, obviously they're massively openly influenced. They've said so by your number 20, actually, The Who. So they've come out with that. So yeah, and you can hear it. Oh hey, wait a minute, we can keep going.
Oh yes,
My number
more
18
Pearl
is
Jam.
Pearl Jam. So yeah, no, great grunge, and obviously we're here in Chicago.
10 or Versus?
10 for me. 10
for me. Versus.
Fair enough. And of course, you can't. We're in Chicago. You can't leave without mentioning Eddie Vedder, the nearby hometown hero in Evanston. That's how we always impersonate him. I got bugs in Evanston.
Can't find Evanston. Evanston.
Spokane's not better than Evanston. I don't know. That was
Spokane.
Yeah.
Spokane.
Washington.
My number 18. You can tell they do their stuff. I'm very vocabulal today. You can tell they do their stuff well, because I don't really like any bands that sound like these guys or any musicians that sound like them, and yet I love them. And this is LCD Soundsystem.
Ah, yes.
With, I think, the real key ingredient being kind of, James Murphy's yelps and just his
he's kind of the mastermind of the band.
Yeah, he's the mastermind of the band. And his just sarcastic lyrics, his kind of
his delivery, sarcastic delivery.
Yeah, sarcastic delivery, and just but he's not so sarcastic that he doesn't believe in anything. I think that's probably the case of most of my top 50 here. There's a lot of punk bands, but they're not kind of the punk bands who are nothing matters, man.
It's not nihilistic punk.
They're all kind of punk bands that want you to do something.
And LCD Soundsystem they're just really I guess. It's just a great crafter of dance music that still sounds.
Yeah, it's with dance and rock, and just no one really captures it quite like they do.
Mm-mm. My number 17 is Heart, and hugely influenced by both of the two sisters, of course, but really the whole band were, really good instrumentalists. But Ann Wilson, probably my favorite female vocalist, and Nancy Wilson, of course, is a master of the acoustic, and so certainly they kind of carved out their own little path in classic rock, where at the time it was a little trickier to get in as a female without kind of showing the cleavage, right? And that was at the time, that
or
things have
writing
evolved.
a love ballad.
Yeah, where they just they just kind of kicked the door down. I think they started out as a Led Zeppelin tribute band, actually.
The door out.
Oh. But yeah, great band, great musicians.
My number 17, also, I guess the 18, I think a central mastermind here. This is Arcade Fire.
The Arcade Fire,
The Arcade
apparently.
Fire, yeah. I guess it can be stylized either way. Did we already see them on your list, Mia?
No, but I think they might be coming. I forget. I might.
They're coming.
That's why I'm leafing through this.
Keep the list running.
Oh, no, maybe they're not. They should have been. Well, I'll retroactively
They're retroactively number 50 or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, or
For
something.
Mia. But these guys, now, here's one just like Beck, where they've got, their first album is this kind of big, dramatic indie rock, and you can picture somebody with their MySpace page putting Neighborhood Tunnels and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they've got, Neon Bible and Suburbs, they're kind of like that, a little more thematic over the record. And then they take the big amazing left turn into Reflector of just a kind of straight, much more disco, funky kind of album. I think that might be my favorite album of theirs, just to listen to straight through, just because of how solid and how fun that sound is. And then they did Everything Now, and hopefully they'll do a good album soon.
Everything Now, and the
Now,
title
at least
track.
the title track is amazing, and there are a few other solid ones on that. But
And what a blend of musicians once again.
Yeah.
Wynn Butler and Regine, just
yeah,
what fantastic.
and that cowboy hat.
And that, I forgot about the cowboy hat until you brought it up again. Oh, boy. Really, that's an honorary member of the band, the cowboy
Yeah,
hat.
it's the 6th member, or the 7th member. I don't know
However
how
many members they have
members
now. Well, this band definitely has 4 members. It's REM is my number 16 on the list. Some classic jangly stuff, just kind of, and once again, a lot of different things tried in their career. And really every member serves their purpose. You know, Michael Stipe obviously has the, you know, sort of chaotic front person. Not chaotic, I guess, but kind of these weird little dance moves and that voice of his, you know. And then, you know, Mike Mills on the bass doing some great stuff and, like, contributing some of the best backup vocals there are. And
I wish I could have seen these guys live.
Oh my goodness, yes. That's a bucket list entry that no longer exists.
At least they're all still alive, so there's still hope.
And of course, you know, Bill Berry and Peter Buck having their contributions. You know, Bill Berry's very versatile, and you know, Peter Buck has that really distinctive style that he came up with. So just all the way around, what a great band.
Yeah, one of those bassists like John Paul Jones, where they just do all these other
things.
They just
do all the
well.
things. Yeah, exactly.
Mia's
he plays piano.
Bassist.
Yep, piano, vocals. Yep. Absolutely, just auxiliary guy, really.
All right, my number 16. Seeing these guys live in November probably reminded me of how great they are at that. They probably would have made the list, but I don't think they would have made it this high. This is My Morning Jacket.
And their honorable
16.
sixth member, Jim James's Cape.
Yes, his Cape. So these are kind of like folk, kind of like, they're almost following the footsteps of the Grateful Dead a little. Like, they're very folk with like extended guitar jams, but they have just this huge spacey sound. Like, I imagine the Grateful Dead might have sounded like them on record if they existed when like modern production and studio techniques were out. So My Morning Jacket, they're kind of like the Grateful Dead in like a huge like space
like in
vista.
a cathedral.
Yeah, in a Space Vista cathedral.
A Space Vista running
like a
Windows
cathedral
Vista.
where you see through the stained glass like there's hundreds of moons in the sky behind them.
And some desktop screens displaying Windows Vista systems.
Yep.
Yep.
And they just have a beautiful like guitar tone. So many amazing songs. Like Spring really makes you feel like you're in spring.
Mm-hmm. They really make it.
And just like
put you in there.
Some best like guitar tone of this list, I think, for me.
Oh yeah, that's a strong claim, but it's got to be up there. Yeah, they have such a distinctive.
Gideon, just like a masterpiece there.
Yeah, my favorite song of theirs for sure. Yeah. Yeah, like sometimes I've seen them on festival lineups that are like country centric. I'm like, they're country, but then I remember, you know, something like what It Still Moves,
or like
the name
Dance
of it,
Floors.
or like Dance
yeah,
Floors.
The album It's Still yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, but they're also like these really spacey, almost psychedelic things.
Yeah, they have
going
some
on.
like almost honky tonk jams they can do. They've got some straightforward like folk ballads like Golden.
The thing that stood out to me about their live performance is that nearly every song, if not every song, felt like a closer.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of band you should be on stage.
Nearly every song felt like a closer because Mia wanted to leave.
That is not why.
No.
Wow, John, you think I'm that cruel?
No, unlike when we saw Primus, where I wanted every song to be a closer.
Yeah, Primus. Yeah, they were not so. I was so excited, and they were like, well, you were excited about Mastodon. They were also not that
Yeah, they were
great.
not that great either.
But yeah, that was overall just kind of a bummer of a show.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
At least it was two bummers stuck together in one, so you kind
It's
of
like you
check
got
them
him out
both
of the
off
way.
the list.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad I saw Les Claypool live. Like he's such a great bassist, but
he had that horn. That was cool.
And he had his horns on his head at some point.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's another band that isn't on either of our lists. Okay, number 15, however, I'm sure we'll see this on John's list again, so I'm gonna keep my trap shut, but maybe focusing a little on the bassist here in Iron Maiden. Now, when your band's ultimate mastermind really is a bassist, you know I'm gonna have a little bit of a soft spot for you. But everyone in this band fantastic. Steve Harris, a phenomenal bass player. Bruce Dickinson, of course, has a soaring. My favorite metal singer. So you know.
Like an eagle.
Like an eagle. I'm an eagle.
The eagle is watching me.
Where eagles dare to watch John. It's your turn, John. What eagle demands it?
All right, my number 15 is the Hold Steady. Maybe fitting for an eagle because something about these guys makes them feel like the most American band ever. They're just...
Craig Finn is an eagle waving his wings around.
Yeah, Craig Finn gives me hope that somebody as dorky looking as us can be a frontman of a group. It's his live thing with the hands. It's fantastic. Their albums are just like what a like fascinating set of albums. They're like musically they're like this nice kind of like hard rock Springsteen kind of thing with like pianos and big flourishes and lots of guitar and great riffs. And then like vocally he's just like a madman. You'll probably either love his vocals or hate them. And lyrically all the songs tie together in this like web of characters. Like it's not quite a concept album, because it's not telling like just one story, but it's like all these characters occur and reoccur and these situations reoccur, and it's all kind of in this like setting with like Catholicism coming up a lot and all the like places he's lived. But overall they're just like having a ton of fun. They have like, even in their songs with like death and stuff, they have a lot of like weird punchlines for things. They have some lines that are so bad you can't tell if they're bad or good. Like, "Hi, my name's Corey. I'm into hardcore. People call me Hardcorey." You didn't do the hands, Mia.
People call me Hardcorey. That's Greg Finn as an eagle. And, you know, I have to add, I didn't get these guys for a long time, and then I saw them live with you, and it was like, okay, this makes so much sense now, and my respect for them skyrocketed. Just this whole community, and just realizing what the themes tied together in the songs were, and seeing that presented on stage.
And everything is like a great fan base where they sing along to everything.
Everything's a celebration there. Like, a show like that, I would easily see again, you know.
Much like an artist we'll see in my top 10.
Definitely keeping my trap completely shut. Here is Rush. We're going to turn it back over to John.
All right, number 14, different from past few, this is Bad Religion. And this is, I think, the highest band you would call a punk band
like
on my list.
Like a straight punk, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting for, like, people that play a fair amount of punk music in Lemon Knife. There aren't that many punk bands that are at our very top. I think because you kind of have that element and then also the riffy element. I almost like kind of the energy of punk more than a lot of groups, but I love Bad Religion because they kind of, first they have a PhD for their, I think, song and main lyrics writer.
Anthropologist, no less.
Yeah, anthropologist, and I think maybe, I feel like I read their memoir and half of it was this other guy complaining about how he wrote the songs and Greg got the credit. So maybe I shouldn't say that Greg was writing all of the lyrics, but maybe he wrote the lyrics. I don't know.
I don't actually know either. Great voice.
Yeah, anyway, great voice, great songwriter, and I think the songs I like best from them are actually the ones where they're kind of like partway between punk and rock. Like they're another of these punk groups that brings in a lot of guitar solos to their thing, like a lot of just, they've got great riffs. I generally like the ones where they are kind of partway between punk and other things. Then also the ones where they're just kind of, they've got these great structured songs, like they really get things down to a perfect compact whole, like something like Los Angeles is Burning or The Handshake, like they're aggressive, they're fast songs. Oh, I forgot to shun The Handshake for a second there. There are these great aggressive songs, but they're just structured so perfectly. They all have like bridges and choruses and all these, then like the big ending of The Handshake. And I'm doing my Craig Finn. And I correctly shunned The Handshake that time.
Does he instruct you to spit on it?
Well, that's one way to clearly shun it.
Well, anyway. Number 13 surprised me when I put him this high, but makes total sense, especially since I think one of his albums made my top 20 or so albums. This is Prince. I forget how good Prince is a lot, and then I remember how good Prince is a lot. He gave birth to musicians such as Beck, you know? I mean, not literally gave birth.
When you started this intro, I was hoping we were finally going to get Rod Stewart done with.
No, not yet, John. Goodness me, you have something against Rod Stewart, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Wake up, Maggie! Also, why is everyone a parrot or a parakeet
He
today?
sounds like a crow, like a chicken, a rooster.
So if Roger Daltrey is an eagle, and Rod Stewart is a crow...
No, he's a rooster.
Oh, he's a rooster, okay.
He's waking you up
Craig
in the morning
Finn
to get
also
your
an eagle.
cornflakes.
Oh yeah, the cornflake. You won't
well,
drop the cornflakes.
You're imagining Craig Finn like an eagle. I think he's more like...
Okay, what's Craig Finn then?
Like
a seagull?
Maybe like a sloth.
No, he's gotta be a bird.
Fast-moving sloth.
Anyway,
How
Prince.
about a condor? Like an ungainly a condor whose wings don't quite fit through the door, so he's
So he's frantically thrusting his wings so that he finally fits.
I'm trying to get into this Waffle House, but the revolving doors aren't big enough for a California condor's 36-foot wingspan.
This looks a lot like a Wendy's. Prince, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I put Purple Rain on the top albums list, and yeah, like, he is the dude that kind of, like, continues to propagate that multi-instrumentalist experimental spirit, and being sort of the godfather of that whole thing, it kind of ultimately lands in funk, but so many different directions
More
of it.
bassists on your thing, right?
Yeah, he's a bassist and a guitarist and a drummer and a violinist and a singer and I think at minimum 12 other things. I'm pretty sure there's I'm not at 12. I'm at 6?
Good enough. I'm at 1.
You're 2.
1 and a quarter.
Oh. We can argue about that later. Carry on, John.
My number 13 is the Smiths, and these are they kind of another thing where you're getting one type of thing and it is an amazing thing, and what that thing is like intricate, stellar guitar like by Johnny Marr combined with like these really like wordy, genius lyrics by canceled Morrissey.
Canceled Morrissey.
But I mean I think pretty much all of the Smiths didn't really get into any of the territories Morrissey has gotten in trouble for. So I think all of their music still holds up.
You got Johnny Marr in there, and he's a much more decent individual.
Yeah. And just like, really, no one can like completely imitate just Morrissey's distinctive sound with
or really his lyricism. Yeah,
his lyricism. It's just kind of this like beautiful English poetry, like so many amazing turns of phrase, and just that delivery. Fell on the floor, I drank more.
Just that great like sense of humor in it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I admit it. We saw Morrissey at Riot Fest, and as soon as he started into How Soon Is Now, which was the first song, my jaw just dropped open. It's like his voice has not changed.
No.
He's like how old? Like 50 something, 60 something.
Yeah. I saw he did some Smith songs that time. I had seen him a few years ago at Riot
and
Fest,
like none of
and
them,
I didn't know any of his songs, and I was still just blown away by his live performance because he is just such a showman. And
he really is,
like,
yeah. And it's a shame what he sort of evolved into.
Great band and.
But yeah, Johnny Marr, obviously, fantastic guitar player as well, oft imitated, never bettered.
Yeah, and a very solid rhythm section.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not Morrissey wants to pay them.
Yeah. We can say a lot more about Morrissey.
As bassist and drummer, that's our, we're like, nationalism. We're not a fan of his British nationalism, but his not supporting his rhythm section.
That's the kicker.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 12, maybe a cliched pick, but still well-deserving. David Bowie is my number 12. What a chameleon he is, and what an effective chameleon
that's a great term you came up with for him.
I didn't come up.
How did you come up with that?
Yeah, I get it, John. I'm a walking cliche in this video.
No, tell me, were you at the zoo and then you saw a chameleon?
Yeah, he's like, that looks like David Bowie.
Yeah, it's got that blue eye and that other eye.
And that other eye. I don't remember
color.
what actually the two eye colors are. Anyway, yeah, David Bowie. I mean, I use the word chameleon just like there's going to be a lot of cliches coming up probably in my descriptions of my top 10. But it's a cliche for a reason. Like, again, no secret, number 1 is Queen, and Freddie Mercury is, like, the vocalist, and that's a cliche for a reason as well. Because, yeah, David Bowie did it all, really, and just a lot of drama throughout, nonetheless. Like, he added the drama to everything he did, and I do like me some drama in a band and an artist, so...
Yeah, and so talented, so many different things.
He really was. Oh my lord.
All right, my top 12, really, any of them I would consider one of my absolute favorites. These guys slipped a little, but this is Modest Mouse.
I was wondering when these guys were going to show up.
Yes, and I just love everything about them. They've gone through like they basically had two big they had 3 phases. The third one is where they don't write good songs.
Ouch!
But their first phase was kind of like this more abrasive, more in your face kind of like.
The perfect descriptor of that is the way the Lonesome Crowded West begins. The first thing you hear.
Like God's shoe shine, right? Yeah, it's just like the guitar's in your face. He's yelling a lot. And then they have their second phase where they move to kind of a block party style, like dancey rock. He's kind of like yelping a lot more like rhythmically, and he's still kind of manic, but much shorter. The first phase is also where they kind of have these more like sprawling kind of like Western highway epics where they're
like talking Bleep Out Pretty Sunset.
Yeah, or like the Trucker's Atlas, like these kind of things where it's more like a spread out kind of jam. And the first two, I would give them about. Mia likes the second phase a lot more. I like them both a ton. Like Good News and Lonesome Crowded West are really like neck and neck for my favorite album by them.
Yeah, I guess like that's when they start switching from like the Moon and Antarctica to Good Times.
Yeah, and then
Good Times, Good News, Good Times.
So yeah, just amazing lyricism by Isaac Brock. He is just like dark, insightful.
I've said it before and I've said it again. While his vocal style is a really important part of the group, it kind of belies his ability to write lyrics. It does his lyrics a disservice in a way, kind of delivered in that direction. But I mean, it works.
Yeah, definitely some of them. I think some of them work best in that tone, and then others, maybe you could get someone else to sing it and it would be just a completely different song, even with the same thing.
Well, my point is the person that tweets about how Isaac Brock sounds like a guy getting chased with a garden hose is not necessarily going to pick up on how great his lyrics are.
Well,
but that's a lot of places, Anyway, we better speed. Number 11, I surprised myself putting them this high, but I thought long and hard about everything they did in the band and like Ray Davies' solo career. The Kinks. They are other mods. I mean, they're reigning mods in that direction, and
It's raining mods.
Hallelujah, it's raining mods. Oh, God. Yeah, Ray Davies, great songwriter. The whole band did a lot of great things for music. They kind of went from that phase of just like, you really got me straight ahead. They went into like the Misfits album and Lola. And, just hit upon a lot of things that weren't really being talked about at the time in a really wonderful way, in a very, like, sardonic way. Just kind of like, here's a song about a transvestite I fell in love with, or here's a song about, like, here's a song about cross-dressing and how he comes to terms with it. A lot of clothes being involved, or, the idiocy of materialism, They're just touching on all of that in really catchy pop songs, and that's what I really love about them.
All right, and my number 11 final one of this video is a band you will not have heard of unless you've watched literally any other of our lists. This is Crazy Arm, and you should go check them out if you like punk or folk, or especially combinations of the two. Their albums Born to Ruin and Union City Breath are just both flawless albums. It is downright criminal how few people have heard of Crazy Arm. They are amazing songwriters. I want to see them live, but since they are tiny, they have not left England.
We need to get, like, endorsements or royalties for how often we talk about Crazy Arm and everybody else. They are a great band, don't get me wrong, it's just kind of funny.
Well, they're always going to make, the top list of whatever, because they have so many great songs. I think they had, in our top 100 songs list, where we limited to one per artist, I think they had like at least five in there. They have so many different songs, too. Like, they've got straight-ahead punk songs, they've got kind of, like, songs with these great riffs that kind of rise and fall. They've got straight up folk ballads. They've got they're amazing. And that is all for this one.